It's time now to get the hell out of your life. A weekly broadcast with real people, sharing real struggles and offering real hope. Today's show will encourage, inspire, and empower you to face life's challenges with a bold confidence and renewed hope. Now, let's join our host, Ron Meyers, the promoter.
Hello, my friends. It is so good to be with you today. My name is Ron Meyers. I'm the host of this show. It's called Get the Hell Out of Your Life, a show where my guests tell their story because they know their story is going to help inspire and encourage and empower someone listening. Today's story is from Bobi Beverly. Now, she grew up around church, but somewhere between responsibility and rebellion, faith became background noise. Life sped up, pain got louder. And after a brutal skydiving injury, Bobi found herself grounded, not just physically, but emotionally. She was isolated, ashamed, and didn't want to go on any longer in life. And standing on the edge of a choice that she could not undo, something unexpected intervened. A dog named Thor. That interruption cracked the darkness just enough for Bobi to throw a challenge towards heaven. God, if you're real, prove it. My episode today is called My Dog Became My Pastor. And if you've ever felt burned by religion, trapped in pain, or tempted to quit altogether, you have to stay with us. This conversation might be the interruption you didn't know you needed.
Well, it's an interesting story. I was raised up in Michigan as a Catholic, and my grandma took me to church every Sunday, but I didn't see it practiced very much in the family. There was a divorce and moved to Las Vegas, lived in Las Vegas for 42 years. And I got farther and farther and farther away from Jesus and the Word because it didn't feel right to me the way I was being exposed. And finally had joined a church, and I thought, well, this will be good. And there was just so much going on there that it wasn't comfortable. And then I had something happen that just made me quit believing in God. You know, I just was like, you know what, if this is the way my life's going to be, there's no way God's up there. I was approached by a pastor in the church and in a way that wasn't very godlike. Let's just put it to you that way. And I felt like if, in fact, God was a part of these entities, that I should be feeling something different. And I never had that feeling of Jesus in me. And so I literally became an atheist. Like shortly after that, I was like, you know, I feel better just to believe that this is my one and only life, which is what my dad believed, and that I should live it up and that I should be having the most fun that I could possibly have while I'm still alive. So I started skydiving, racing motorcycles. Outside of Las Vegas, there's an absolutely stunning park called Red Rock National Park, and there's rock climbing there. And I took a lot of risks, and I swear the angels on the other side were like very tired by the time I was drawn into Christianity. So you like living on the edge. I am a type A personality a little bit. Yes.
I can relate.
Can you relate? Yeah. I've owned my own businesses, and I've been a huge risk taker my whole life. So I went to nursing school, got in trouble because I wasn't compliant. I used to tell people, no, that the reason why they kind of cut your toes off is because you eat pancakes and orange juice for breakfast. That got me into trouble. So I had a cleaning service for 32 years, and I was able to go out and do whatever it is that I loved, which I loved fitness and wellness and helping people discover their best self. But I still was angry at the world. I hated the cleaning business. I hated myself. I didn't drink, which is good, because my father was an alcoholic. But I think the skydiving and the racing the motorcycle, I think I got my adrenaline pushed through there. And then one day I had a really great skydive, parachute opened up fine. But in desert, there are some kind of crazy winds, and it knocked my parachute around, and I landed directly on my tailbone. And it herniated the disc in my back, and it was so painful. And I actually wrote a book called Lucky Break. And my name is Bobi, but it's spelled B-O-B-I, Bobi Beverly. And I talk about how that broken back stopped me from doing all the things that distracted me in my atheism. I was a whole Bobi at that time. I didn't care about people the way I thought I should. I didn't care about people the way they should be cared about. how I cared about people was to get that good feeling when I helped them. So my motivation for helping someone was to get something back, to make me feel good, because I was empty inside. So here I am sitting on the sofa with a broken back. I gained 100 pounds. That's totally unlike me. I'm pretty fit. And had people helping me. I became what they call agoraphobic, Bobby. I didn't go out of the house. I had somebody running my cleaning business. One of my employees would come over and bring me food. This was long before the days of people dropping food off at your door. And I just wallowed in self-pity. And how I did that was I literally started drinking wine and eating very bad for you food. Just horrible. So she brings me the food. She sets the change on the countertop, and a dime fell on the floor. And I looked at it, and I didn't want to bend over to pick that up because of the excruciating pain it would cause me. I mean, I didn't go to I went to a doctor. I didn't have insurance, and I was saving up the $80,000 I needed in order to have surgery. I didn't believe in surgery, and I didn't believe in pharmaceutical drugs. The wine that I drank was organic, of course.
Oh, good. Need that organic wine.
Yes. So I bent over finally and picked up that dime, but I couldn't get up. And I crawled over to a chair, and I was really angry. And I was crying, and I was pushing myself up from that chair, and I thought, I don't need this anymore. I don't know who would miss me.
Who or what were you angry about?
The inability to function on my own. I couldn't go out and distract myself with jumping out of airplanes, partying with friends, racing a motorcycle at 135 miles an hour. I couldn't exhilarate myself anymore because I did not have self-love, because I didn't have Jesus Christ in my life. Right?
So you didn't have a love for other people, but you got love through your adventures and all the things you were doing. But then one day, because of your injury, you're stuck.
Yes.
It's like God said, I got to slow this lady down.
Absolutely.
She's a wild lady. Is that what made you start asking and talking about God?
Oh, no. So that night, I hate to say this because it really, anybody out there that's thinking life isn't worth living, please reach out, because give me a sec. It really is. So I decided to commit suicide. I have a love for guns. And so I had a SIG P232, and it was loaded and chambered in my house at all times for protection. And I had a 13-year-old dog named Thor, and he was a cool dog. And I thought, people check on me daily. They'll come take care of him. He's the only one that I was worried about at that time. I didn't think about my daughter or my mom or my friends or anyone but myself. I was very angry.
So you wanted the pain to end.
Absolutely. I felt worthless. Since I couldn't do what I wanted to do, I was a very selfish person, by the way. And this falls into being selfish when you can't think beyond yourself, So I get the gun and I guzzle a bottle of wine, and I'm sitting on the sofa. I have it on my thigh. And Thor is laying on the sofa next to me, looking at me. And immediately I'm not going to repeat the word I said at that point, as I picked it up and I said, the heck with it. And I put it on my head, and I went and I had my finger on the trigger and was literally going to pull it when Thor bit me. I had that dog for 17 years. He never bit me before or after that.
So God can speak through a dog bite.
Yes. I jumped up, was the fastest I had moved in a year. That was pretty painful, by the way. And the gun fell on the floor, and I looked at my dog. His little ears were up, and he was like, let's go play. That's the face he has when he wants me to throw the ball. And I thought, the last time I checked, blood was not part of our play. And I'm just going to go to bed. I'm going to go to bed. I can't, I stared at the gun for a little bit, not in anticipation of using it, but in the realization of what I almost did. And I sat the gun down. But as I'm going up the stairs, I'm challenging God. I tell God, listen, if you're really up there, and of course I'm saying this out loud because I don't think he can hear me. I'm saying it very loud. If you're really up there, tomorrow, send me a check in the mail with the number 7 in it. And that'll be proof, and I'll believe in you again. And I passed out, and I had a very fitful, horrific sleep. And now when I woke up in the morning, not only does my back hurt, but my head hurts too from all the wine I drank the night before. And I push myself up, and I'm like, at that moment, you're not thinking about it when your eyes first wake up. I just went, oh my goodness, what did I almost do last night? I'm an idiot. And I think to myself, there's no God. Why did I even pray? I was mad at myself for reducing myself to one of those people that believes in a deity. This isn't true. There's no way it's true. And I get ready. My morning routine was horrible. I would have a cup of coffee with a bunch of sugar in it to amp myself up, take about 800 milligrams of ibuprofen, and have Pop-Tarts. I liked sugar. I was just all about, and, go out and get the mail about 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I would say, tell us about that mail. Was there a check in there?
I pulled out the mail, and you go through it as you're walking back to the house, and I go, what is this? It's a Quest Diagnostics. And I go, hey, I paid them everything. I don't know why they're sending me bills. And I opened it up, and it was a rebate check for $17.46.
Wow.
A check with the number 7 in it.
So God was beginning to work not only with the little dog that liked to bite you to stop you from doing something, but now he answered that, not because he's a genie in a bottle, because he loves you so much he didn't want you to do anything to hurt yourself. Have you ever thought about that?
Oh, every day that check is on my desk. I kept it. I never cashed that check. I kept it and I wrote ask, believe, receive on it. And the feeling I had at that moment was, besides weak knees and just this huge emotion that came into my chest, was, now what? What do I do with, I don't know how to pray. Like, how do I get God back in my life? So I literally said, okay, God, what do I do? And that day was just heavy breathing and crying and just coming to the realization that I'd really did myself a disservice by allowing one person who was using God basically to get to people to influence me in a negative way, right? I also found out why bad things happen to good people.
Why is that?
Because sometimes what we think is a horrible event is actually changing the trajectory of your life in the direction that you were meant to live. Before you are born, God gives you everything you need to become human. And after you're born, he gives you everything you need to be the person you were meant to be. And society and your parents and even churches will influence your direction. You have to remain open to God's divine direction, not the influences of the outside. And I was influenced by the outside. And I wasn't helping people the way I can help people now.
But you had to go through this whole learning process to do that. And just as you said, why do bad things happen to good people? I don't know all the answers. I agree with what you said, but I have found out there's something in our mess that is a message to somebody else out there. Now, I didn't know much about your story, and you come in to my office, the studio, to record this, and you're happy, you're glowing. And, you look like the person, she can't have any problems in her life.
Right.
I say that because there are people listening right now, Bobi, that can relate to your story. They didn't get a check in the mail. They didn't have a dog bite them to wake up, but they're listening to this program now, and they can hear right from you. What advice, encouragement would you give a man or a woman or a child or a teen, anyone listening?
I would say that if you're on a journey in your life and you find that it's very, very difficult, that it's probably, and this is my opinion, definitely not God's, but it's probably the wrong direction. You have to, first off, love yourself exactly as you are, because you are not going to do anything for yourself in a beneficial way if you don't like yourself. And if you're having difficulty loving yourself, then you need to reach out to people to help you, at least at the beginning, learn to love yourself, because in doing that, you can open yourself up to let Jesus back into your life. If you're hateful, it kind of blocks that. I always call it a frequency, but really it's just God's divine direction. It blocks it when you're angry. And then there's different levels of depression and despair, of course. I was 1 second away from not being here. That's pretty deep. And not everybody has a dog that's going to bite them. And so you have to reach out to the right people. And you have to know that you're here for a reason, and you haven't fulfilled your reason. And you need to find what you love, because what you love is what God put in your heart. So when I say a bad thing happens to good people, when you're frustrated and you feel like, man, it's one thing after another, I'm taking these hits. You hear things that say, you don't lose unless you quit. Yet sometimes you're constantly bombarded with these challenges because you're on the wrong path. So you have to open yourself up. You have to be willing to pray.
You know, I also discovered, Bobby, and maybe you did, when I quit trying to fix myself and I just said, Jesus, I take you at your word. What you said you'll never leave me. You'll never forsake me. You will never disown me. Mm-hmm. So now I'm putting my life in your hands. You've got to get me into the right frame of mind. Show me my purpose, and I will try as hard as I can to be still and listen. And you know, Bobby, I started something years ago that I talk to my listeners about, and that's coffee with Jesus every day, where I can just open up and talk to Jesus, my problems, my hurts, maybe it's anger, whatever. But that has been the most healing thing that's done. And I think Jesus would like to tell, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I think Jesus wants to minister to everyone listening. He loves to minister to us. He loves to hold us in the palm of his hands and squeeze us so tight that you know that's a love that's indescribable, but it has to be from heaven. It has to be God loving us, because once we feel that and we know that he's leading us, it doesn't take away the problems. But you know, life begins to start making sense.
Absolutely. I still had a bad back. I never did have that surgery, by the way. I was drawn to go back to the gym. I know that sounds crazy. I did lay in bed going, really, God, I can barely walk. How am I going to go to the gym? And that's a whole nother story. But it eventually led me in being able to help people overcome catastrophic challenges.
So when you wake up in the morning,
yes,
you're all refreshed. What is your goal for today? What like when you got up today, you knew you were going to come in and visit with me, but what's it like with a whole new outlook to life? You've got a second chance, a third chance. You know, God never stops giving us chances. So what's it like for you when you get up, and how is your day? How do you put Jesus in the middle of the problems of your life?
I don't have to put Jesus in. He's there. He's just waiting for you to open up. So I call it the first 15. When I lay in bed, the first 15 minutes, when your eyes open up, the first thing I say is, thank you, Jesus, for another day, because 107,000 people die every day. And they thought they had another day and they didn't. Even if I didn't sleep good last night, even if my, aches and pains from working out too hard, even if I have a challenge for that day, I thank God for waking up. Just that's how I start my day, and I smile. It just changes the energy you feel.
And you wake up. I love how you wake up for those first 15 minutes. And one of the rituals I have of waking up, Lord, who am I going to meet today to share their story? Well, I remember a young lady, Sarah Rhodes at Rotary, said, Ron, you need to meet this lady, Bobby. What a story, a story of faith. And so God answers that because you and I are talking now. I say all that because there's so much more for each and every single person. Sometimes we just let the circumstances of our life dictate what we'll do, when we just need to open up and say, God, I'm all yours.
Yes.
I'm all yours. I trust you.
Yes.
You've got my problems. You've got my weaknesses. Now let's do life together. And
absolutely.
It's a good attitude, isn't it?
It's a wonderful attitude. Even, I'm telling you, the way I used to wake up, I was just angry to waking up, and no matter what's going on.
You didn't like your life.
I didn't like it. And
it
was really good. It was a really good life.
Do you love your life now?
Oh, times 3,000. Infinity.
Yeah.
I mean, I
That's
absolutely,
what Jesus does.
yeah.
He takes the blinders off of us, and we really realize, listen, the world may not like me, but Jesus loves me.
Yes.
And that's enough for me to go today and tomorrow because someone needs to know about my Jesus. So let me ask you, Bobi, who is Jesus to you?
It's kind of interesting because I think about my grandma and her Catholic upbringing and the love of the Virgin Mary. And I just feel like he's my guardian. And I feel like he's also my mentor in a way. I feel safe. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm not in a hurry to get there. I don't know. I would have to say mentor, and I just feel light instead of heavy every day. I just feel light. And so when I wake up and I say a prayer and I ask him for guidance, I usually almost end up with a couple of really good ideas that I can write about or put into my Facebook page or just, encourage
Amen.
people. Yeah. And so he's my partner.
So somebody listening and they relate more to you back in your early days when you were an atheist and they think, well, I'm never going to believe in this God.
Right.
Any words of wisdom that you'd share with that individual?
Yeah, absolutely. Do not be stubborn in your anger and self-loathing because that's what keeps you there. I was not ready to be healed until my dog bit me and God spoke to me. We don't always get that. We have to release the anger of self-loathing because honestly, I really feel like that's where it brings you to that spot.
Yeah, it sure does. And you are just a bright light here. And it's
you.
so good to meet you and your book. You talk about you have a book out.
Yes, sir.
What's the title of the book and how can listeners get a copy?
Well, it's a fun little book. It's on Amazon and it's called Lucky Break. And I spell my name Bobi Beverly, Beverly. That's the only trick about this name of mine that I've given myself because my official name is Roberta. But Lucky Break is on Amazon under Bobi Beverly. It's a pink book with a big 4-leaf clover on it.
And do you have a social media page?
I do. It's called Ageless with Bobi.
Because it sounds like you put some inspiration there once in a while, so listeners may want to check that out. Ageless with Bobi.
Yes.
Bobi.
Yes, sir.
Well, I want to thank you for coming by and thank you for sharing your story with us. And we'll check.
It's my pleasure.
We'll check. I always like to ask people. The title of this program is Get the Hell Out of Your Life.
Yeah.
So, Bobi, how do you get the hell out of your life?
Be open. Don't wait for a dog to bite you. Just be open.
We're running out of time. I would love for you to pray for our listeners.
Well, I'm going to be honest and tell you that I've always had difficulty praying out loud. I don't know why I'm a little shy when it comes to that, but I'm just going to take a deep breath and say, anyone who's listening who feels like that they're at their wits' end, know that today isn't your last day unless you make it your last day. And it shouldn't be like that. You can reach out. You can meet the right person. Just take a deep breath and ask God to lead you, and you'll get there. He will take care of you.
I told you would love this story from Bobi. As I was sitting across from her during our visit, you could see a glow, a happiness, an intentional pursuing of Jesus, a woman discovering her destiny in real time. Hearing Bobi's story wasn't an accident. It was a divine appointment. It felt like a call from God, not a call to ignore pain or pretend it didn't happen. Her back still hurts, and she doesn't sugarcoat that. The complications did not magically disappear, but something deeper shifted. She stopped asking, why did this happen to me? And started asking, what if this is redirecting me? Instead of chasing motivation, she chose gratitude. Instead of waiting for healing, she honored movement, one step at a time. Instead of religious noise, she built an honest rhythm. Coffee with Jesus, quiet time with Jesus, and thanking God for breath before the day demanded anything else. That's the kind of faith that survives real life. Not flashy, not loud, just faithful. Bobi's story invites us to turn our baggage over to God and rediscover joy. You know, friends, sometimes despair doesn't need answers. It needs interruption. And sometimes that interruption looks like a loyal dog, maybe a small check, or a quiet voice that says, your life still matters.
Are you stressed because you don't have enough money or connections to get where you want to go? Are you frustrated when you see your friends climbing the corporate ladder? Do you have too many bills and not enough income? There is a person who understands exactly what you're going through. And the best part is, he knows and loves you already. That person is Jesus. If you want to learn how to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, then just call or text us at 888-NEED-HIM or chataboutjesus.com.
How do you get the hell out of your life?
Get on your knees and cry out to the Lord. He hears you right where you are.
How to get the hell out of your life? Well, replace it with Jesus. We got to be born again, born of the Spirit, and that's by trusting Jesus Christ, turning from our sins and trusting Jesus.
How do you get the hell out of your life?
Oh, gosh, just Jesus.
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 Turn to Jesus.
Well, friends, I hope today's episode has encouraged you to look past your circumstances, look past the things people are telling you, and God wants you to know He has not forgotten you. He loves you. Your life matters. There's some things you're going through simply because you are trying to fix it on your own. You have to be like Bobi and just say, Lord, if you're real, I need some help. And God will show up somehow, some way in your life, and you'll know this is God. I will be back next week with another grace-filled message of Get the Hell Out of Your Life, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Until then, this is Ron Meyers reminding you that I love you. Jesus loves you. And when you give your heart to Jesus, you not only get the hell out of your life, but your life begins to fall in place.
Get the hell out. Get the hell out. Get the hell out of your life.
Today's show was produced by Ron Meyers Ministries, a listener-supported ministry. For a copy of today's broadcast, please visit our website, thepromoter.org. And would you prayerfully consider making a tax-deductible donation so that we may continue to share stories of God's amazing grace with the world? And join us next week for another broadcast of Get the Hell Out of Your Life. Real people sharing real struggles and offering real hope.